Welcome to Mastering the Art of Critical Thinking. Sharpen your mind, question assumptions, and see beyond the surface, brought to you by Mindful Literary. In a world overflowing with information, making sense of it all can feel overwhelming. This journey we're about to take is an invitation to bring clarity, depth, and purpose into your thinking. Critical thinking isn't just about analyzing information. It's about shaping a clearer, more intentional mind that sees beyond surface-level impressions. It's about empowering yourself to make better decisions, enrich your relationships, and tackle life's challenges with confidence. In this audiobook, we'll explore how critical thinking serves as the foundation for growth, not only in our personal lives, but in every facet of who we are and what we do. From problem-solving at work to nurturing curiosity, this journey will guide you through the skills and mindsets that help you question assumptions, recognize biases, and build a reflective approach to life. So let's begin and discover the power of seeing beneath the surface. Introduction: the journey to a clearer mind. Imagine standing at the edge of a dense forest, each tree towering above, obscuring the landscape beyond. To many, the view would seem complete, with towering trunks and rustling leaves forming an impenetrable wall of green. But a curious mind, a critical thinker, sees more than just a wall of trees. They wonder what lies beyond, and take those steps to see past the obvious, venturing into the forest to discover its hidden depths. This journey, a metaphor for critical thinking, is a lifelong quest to see beyond appearances, to question assumptions, and to gain a clearer, fuller understanding of life and all it encompasses. In a world buzzing with information, critical thinking has become not just a skill but a survival tool. It helps us cut through the noise, revealing what truly matters while protecting us from the deceptive allure of surface-level knowledge. As we embark on this journey together, let's delve into why critical thinking is essential, how it shapes both personal and professional growth, and what it truly means to see beyond the surface. The relevance of critical thinking in everyday life. Critical thinking is often seen as an abstract skill, something reserved for academics or philosophers. But in reality, it's woven into the fabric of our everyday experiences, influencing the choices we make, the opinions we hold, and the relationships we cultivate. Imagine walking into a room filled with conversations, ideas flowing freely, but with a few voices speaking louder than others. Without critical thinking, we might latch onto the loudest opinion, assuming it to be the truest. But with a critical mind, we become aware of nuances, recognizing that truth often lies beneath the surface or within quieter perspectives. Every decision we make, from the simplest daily choices to life-altering ones, benefits from the clarity that critical thinking provides. It enables us to navigate complex information, make better decisions, and avoid falling into the trap of automatic thinking. It sharpens our ability to distinguish between what is real and what is assumed, allowing us to live more intentionally and authentically. The role of critical thinking in personal and professional growth. Imagine a sailor, skillfully navigating rough seas with a well-trained eye on the horizon. The ability to anticipate, adapt, and steer through uncertainty is as relevant for navigating one's personal and professional journey as it is for guiding a ship. Critical thinking acts as a compass, helping us plot our course through the fog of challenges, ambitions, and external expectations. In our personal lives, critical thinking helps us understand our own motivations, desires, and fears. It allows us to question the narratives we've inherited from society, family, or past experiences, giving us the freedom to define our own paths. In relationships, it encourages us to listen more deeply, to communicate more clearly, and to resolve conflicts with empathy and clarity. Professionally, critical thinking is invaluable. In an era where information is abundant but depth is scarce, employers and collaborators value individuals who can think critically, analyze problems, and find solutions that go beyond the obvious. It's a skill that not only enhances our work quality, but also positions us as leaders, those who see possibilities where others see obstacles. What it means to see beyond the surface, and the impact of questioning assumptions. To see beyond the surface is to live with a curious and open mind, unafraid to challenge appearances and dig deeper for understanding. Consider the way we might view a painting. At first glance, we see colors and shapes, perhaps a recognizable image or abstract forms. But when we linger, we begin to notice subtleties, the brushstrokes, the blending of hues, the intention behind each line and curve. In the same way, critical thinking urges us to look deeper in all areas of life, to question our initial impressions, and to search for meaning beyond what's immediately apparent. Questioning assumptions can be transformative. Assumptions often act as shortcuts, allowing us to process information quickly. But they can also lead to misunderstandings, limiting our perception and preventing us from fully grasping the truth. By questioning assumptions, we open ourselves to alternative perspectives, freeing ourselves from rigid thinking and embracing a world rich with possibilities. Embarking on a journey of mental clarity. As you turn the pages of this book, you'll be equipped with the skills and insights to navigate life with a clearer, more intentional mind. Each chapter will guide you in sharpening your ability to question, analyze, and see beyond the surface. This journey is about cultivating a mindset that not only seeks truth, but also values the beauty of exploration. It's about living with curiosity, approaching life as a puzzle to be solved, and embracing the richness that comes from challenging ourselves to think deeply. This journey to a clearer mind is not about doubting everything, but about empowering ourselves to see with greater depth and understanding. So let's embark together, exploring each layer with a sense of wonder and a desire to truly see the world as it is. Chapter 1: Understanding Critical Thinking. In a world where information constantly pulls at our attention, critical thinking is like having a finely tuned compass. It allows us to orient ourselves, make wise decisions, and uncover deeper truths. But what exactly is critical thinking? Some view it as merely an intellectual exercise or an academic pursuit. Others imagine it as the ability to argue a point convincingly or as a suspicious mindset that questions everything. In reality, critical thinking is neither purely academic nor inherently skeptical. It's a balanced approach to understanding, grounded in logic, insight, and curiosity. In this chapter, we'll explore what critical thinking truly is, uncover the skills that form its foundation, and examine why it's crucial in today's complex world. We'll also address common myths about critical thinkers, debunking the idea that critical thinking is simply about being critical in the conventional sense. Defining critical thinking. What it is and what it isn't. At its core, critical thinking is the ability to think with clarity, to analyze information objectively, and to approach problems with a systematic mindset. It's about looking at a situation from multiple angles, challenging our assumptions, and making judgments based on evidence rather than impulse or bias. Consider a gardener observing a plant that isn't thriving. Without critical thinking, the gardener might assume the plant needs more water, adding more daily. But a critical thinker would investigate further, considering other possibilities like soil quality, sunlight, or pest interference. The gardener's goal isn't to criticize the plant, but to understand it more deeply and respond appropriately. This is the essence of critical thinking, approaching a situation with curiosity, questioning assumptions, and seeking the best solution based on available evidence. Critical thinking is not about doubting everything or being overly analytical to the point of paralysis. It's a dynamic process of exploration, balancing inquiry with practicality. It requires us to engage deeply but not obsessively, pushing us to understand while remaining open to adaptation and growth. The core skills: analysis, interpretation, evaluation, inference, and self-regulation. Critical thinking is more than just a single skill. It's a collection of interconnected abilities that, when used together, allow us to navigate complex information and draw meaningful conclusions. Here's a breakdown of each core skill and how it plays a role. Analysis: the ability to break down complex information into its essential parts. Imagine reading a novel and analyzing the character motivations, plot points, and underlying themes. Analysis helps us separate the noise from the signal, enabling us to see the structure within complexity. Interpretation: the ability to understand and explain the meaning of information. Interpretation is like putting on a pair of glasses that allows us to see the deeper implications behind words, symbols, or actions. This skill helps us grasp not just what is being said, but why it matters. Evaluation: the ability to assess information and judge its credibility. In our digital age, evaluating sources and assessing arguments are crucial. Whether reading an article or assessing a proposal, evaluation allows us to measure quality and reliability. Inference: the ability to draw logical conclusions from available information. It's like following a trail of footprints to discover where they lead, piecing together clues to form a coherent picture. Inference requires intuition tempered by logic, helping us connect dots that may not be immediately obvious. Self-regulation, the ability to reflect on one's thought process and adjust as necessary. This is the self-check mechanism in critical thinking, reminding us to question our biases, reevaluate our assumptions, and remain open to new evidence. Self-regulation is the compass that keeps critical thinking aligned with accuracy and integrity. Each of these skills is essential on its own, but together they form the pillars of a critical mind. When we hone these abilities, we equip ourselves to think with depth, clarity, and adaptability, no matter the challenge. Why critical thinking matters: benefits in decision-making, problem-solving, and personal growth. Critical thinking has far-reaching benefits, influencing our personal growth, professional success, and ability to navigate life's complexities. Here's how it matters in key areas. Decision-making. Life presents countless decisions, from small daily choices to major turning points. Critical thinking enables us to weigh options, anticipate outcomes, and make thoughtful, informed choices. It minimizes the risk of acting on impulse or being swayed by superficial influences, leading to more effective and satisfying decisions. Problem-solving. Challenges are inevitable, but a critical mind sees problems as opportunities for growth. By systematically approaching obstacles, we develop solutions that are creative, logical, and effective. Instead of becoming paralyzed by difficulties, we gain the resilience to adapt and overcome. Personal growth. Critical thinking fosters self-awareness, encouraging us to examine our beliefs, question our habits, and explore our true values. This reflective process leads to deeper personal insights, promoting growth and a more authentic, purposeful life. When we think critically, we cultivate a mindset of lifelong learning, continuously improving ourselves and our understanding of the world. Imagine trying to solve a jigsaw puzzle. Without critical thinking, we might randomly try pieces, hoping they fit. But with a critical approach, we analyze the patterns, notice the colors, and focus on finding the right fit. This thoughtful approach not only completes the puzzle, but also makes the process far more rewarding and insightful. Common myths. Dispelling misconceptions about critical thinkers. Critical thinking is often misunderstood. Let's address a few common myths that distort its true purpose. Myth number 1. Critical thinking is all about being skeptical or negative. Truth. Critical thinking isn't about doubting everything or finding faults. It's about asking the right questions, being open to multiple perspectives, and seeking to understand. Skepticism can play a role, but it's balanced by curiosity and openness. Myth number 2. Critical thinking is just an intellectual exercise. Truth. Critical thinking is practical and essential for everyday life, not just an academic skill. From evaluating a news story to making career decisions, critical thinking helps us make choices that align with our values and goals. Myth number 3. Only certain types of people are critical thinkers. Truth. Critical thinking isn't limited to any particular personality type, profession, or background. It's a skill anyone can develop and benefit from. It doesn't require an advanced degree, just the willingness to engage with ideas thoughtfully and with curiosity. Myth number 4. Critical thinking slows down decision-making. Truth. While critical thinking can mean taking a bit more time, it often leads to faster, better decisions in the long run by preventing impulsive mistakes. With practice, critical thinkers learn to make thoughtful choices without overanalyzing or hesitating excessively. By dispelling these myths, we gain a clearer picture of what critical thinking truly entails. It's a dynamic, empowering process that encourages exploration, growth, and wisdom. In this chapter, we've set the stage for understanding critical thinking's role in our lives. It's not just a skill, but a mindset, one that's accessible to everyone and invaluable in helping us see beyond the obvious, make informed choices, and lead a life of depth and clarity. As we continue this journey, we'll dive into the skills and practices that bring critical thinking to life, empowering us to approach each day with an inquisitive and open mind. Chapter 2. Developing a mindset of curiosity. Curiosity is the spark that lights the journey of discovery. It's the quiet voice that urges us to ask, "What if?" and pushes us beyond comfortable assumptions to see the world with fresh eyes. Cultivating a mindset of curiosity is essential for critical thinking, as it leads us to question, to explore, and to open ourselves to the unexpected. Imagine a child exploring a beach for the first time. Everything they see is new. Each shell, wave, and grain of sand ignites wonder. They ask countless questions, often ones that adults may find unnecessary. But that relentless curiosity is what allows the child to experience the world in its fullest detail, without dismissing anything as too small or insignificant. This mindset of endless possibility and discovery is exactly what we aim to cultivate in critical thinking. The power of asking questions. Why curiosity is essential. Questions are the gateway to understanding. When we ask questions, we signal to our minds that we're open to learning, that we're not simply accepting what's in front of us. Curiosity-driven questions are like keys unlocking layers of knowledge, revealing nuances that might otherwise remain hidden. Consider the way scientists approach a mystery. They don't simply ask, "What is happening?" but "Why is this happening?" and "What might happen if we change this?" This questioning propels their discoveries and opens new paths. In our everyday lives, asking questions can transform the way we interact with others, make decisions, and view the world. It allows us to challenge the status quo and imagine new possibilities. Curiosity is essential because it prevents us from becoming complacent or passive. Instead of accepting things as they appear, we're inspired to dig deeper, to understand, and to continually grow. By embracing a curious mindset, we equip ourselves to navigate life's complexities with a sense of adventure and openness. Breaking free from assumptions. Identifying and challenging biases and preconceived notions. Assumptions are the shortcuts our minds create to process information quickly. They're not inherently bad, but they can prevent us from seeing the full picture. Often, assumptions are shaped by past experiences, societal influences, or personal beliefs. Without awareness, we may take these assumptions as fact, limiting our perspective and ultimately our potential to understand. Imagine looking at an iceberg floating in the ocean. The part visible above the waterline is only a fraction of the iceberg's mass. Yet our initial assumption might be that what we see is all there is. Just like the unseen part of the iceberg, assumptions conceal a vast depth of insight and possibility beneath their surface. To break free from assumptions, we must first identify them. When we catch ourselves forming a quick judgment or making a snap decision, it's worth pausing to ask, what assumptions am I making here? By doing so, we peel back the layers of our thoughts, revealing biases and allowing ourselves to consider alternative viewpoints. This process is not about being overly critical of ourselves, but about recognizing the mental patterns that limit our understanding. Challenging assumptions expands our intellectual horizons, enabling us to see and appreciate perspectives that may have previously been invisible. It helps us approach situations, people, and ideas with greater empathy, open-mindedness, and accuracy. Fostering open-mindedness. How to stay receptive to new ideas and perspectives. Open-mindedness is the willingness to consider possibilities beyond our immediate beliefs or experiences. It's a state of mental flexibility that allows us to shift perspectives and entertain new ideas, even those that may seem contradictory to our own. Fostering open-mindedness doesn't mean agreeing with everything or abandoning personal convictions. Rather, it's about holding space for diversity in thought. Imagine you're a traveler in a foreign country, exploring a culture vastly different from your own. Initially, many customs might seem unusual or even strange. However, by remaining open-minded, you learn to appreciate the differences, gaining insight into ways of living that broaden your understanding of the human experience. In critical thinking, open-mindedness plays a vital role. It frees us from rigid patterns of thought and enables us to adapt as we encounter new information. Staying open-minded can be challenging, especially when we're presented with ideas that conflict with deeply held beliefs. But by embracing this mindset, we create a more dynamic and resilient framework for understanding the world. One practical way to cultivate open-mindedness is to engage with diverse perspectives, whether through reading, conversations, or experiences. Seek out viewpoints that challenge your own, and instead of rushing to form a counter-argument, listen with the intention of understanding. This practice not only strengthens our ability to think critically, but also enriches our empathy and appreciation for others. Exercise, a curiosity challenge to practice asking deeper questions. To strengthen your mindset of curiosity, try this challenge. Each day for the next week, practice asking questions that dig a little deeper. Start with an everyday observation or interaction, and try to explore it by asking progressively deeper questions. For example, 1. Observation. It's cloudy outside. 2. First question. I wonder why it's so cloudy today. 3. Second question. What causes clouds to form in the atmosphere? 4. Third question. How does the weather affect people's moods or activities? 5. Final question. How can I apply this curiosity to understand how external factors influence my own behavior? This simple exercise invites you to see the world with fresh eyes, exploring layers of meaning and connections that may usually go unnoticed. Whether you're observing nature, having a conversation, or contemplating a problem, let your curiosity lead you to ask why, how, and what if questions. Challenge yourself to dig deeper with each answer, cultivating a habit of inquiry that strengthens your critical thinking skills. In this chapter, we've explored the foundational role curiosity plays in developing a critical mind. Curiosity is the engine that drives us beyond our comfort zones, challenging assumptions, fostering open-mindedness, and allowing us to see life's endless possibilities. By adopting a curious mindset, we prepare ourselves to explore the world with depth, intention, and a genuine desire to understand. As we continue our journey, this cultivated curiosity will serve as a guide, leading us to new insights and a clearer perspective on everything we encounter. Chapter 3. Recognizing biases and mental traps. Our minds are powerful, capable of processing vast amounts of information quickly. But this speed comes at a cost. To handle the complexity of our world, our brains rely on cognitive shortcuts, biases, that help us make sense of things quickly. While these biases can sometimes be helpful, they often lead us to flawed judgments, limiting our ability to see things as they truly are. Recognizing and addressing these mental traps is an essential step in our journey to clear thinking and more accurate understanding. Imagine you're hiking through a dense forest with a compass. You trust this compass to guide you in the right direction, but if it's even slightly off, you may end up far from your intended path. Cognitive biases are like that faulty compass. They subtly influence our thinking, steering us away from objective truth without our even realizing it. In this chapter, we'll explore common cognitive biases, understand how they shape our perceptions, and learn practical strategies to minimize their influence. By becoming aware of our biases, we take an important step toward thinking more clearly and making better decisions. Types of cognitive biases: confirmation bias, anchoring, availability heuristic, and more. Let's start by examining some of the most common cognitive biases that affect our thinking. While there are many, here are a few key biases that impact how we interpret information and make decisions. Confirmation bias. This is the tendency to favor information that confirms our existing beliefs while ignoring or downplaying information that contradicts them. For instance, if we believe a particular diet is the best, we might seek out articles supporting that view while disregarding studies that challenge it. Confirmation bias can create an echo chamber in our minds, reinforcing our views without objective consideration. Anchoring bias. Anchoring occurs when we rely too heavily on the first piece of information we encounter, the anchor, when making decisions. For example, if we see a high price on an item, we might judge all similar items by that initial price, even if it doesn't reflect the true value. Anchoring can skew our judgment, making it difficult to evaluate things objectively. Availability heuristic. This bias leads us to overestimate the likelihood of events based on how easily examples come to mind. If we've recently heard about plane accidents, for instance, we might irrationally fear flying, even though statistically, it's one of the safest modes of travel. The availability heuristic makes us perceive things as more common or likely simply because they're more memorable. Hindsight bias, often called the I knew it all along effect. Hindsight bias is the tendency to believe, after an event has occurred, that we predicted or expected the outcome. This bias clouds our ability to learn from past experiences because it falsely convinces us that the outcome was predictable, even if it wasn't. Sunk cost fallacy. This bias occurs when we continue investing in something, time, money, or effort, because we've already invested so much, even when it no longer makes sense. Imagine watching a movie you're not enjoying, but refusing to leave the theater because you paid for the ticket. The sunk cost fallacy keeps us trapped in unproductive decisions. These biases are like filters through which we interpret reality, often distorting our view and leading us away from objective understanding. Recognizing them is the first step in minimizing their influence. How biases affect thinking. Real-life examples of how biases shape perceptions. Cognitive biases are not just theoretical concepts. They play out in our daily lives, subtly influencing our decisions, actions, and interactions. Here are a few examples to illustrate how biases shape perceptions. Confirmation bias in relationships. Imagine a person who believes their friend is unreliable. Even if the friend shows up on time repeatedly, they'll likely focus on the one occasion when the friend was late, reinforcing their initial belief. This bias can strain relationships by narrowing our ability to see people as they are rather than as we assume them to be. Anchoring bias in salary negotiations. During a job interview, if the interviewer mentions an initial salary offer, that figure often becomes the anchor, even if it's lower than what we hoped for. We might end up negotiating around that initial number, unable to break free from the anchor, and settle for less than we could have achieved. Availability heuristic in public perception. News reports of sensational events, such as violent crimes, tend to stick in our minds, leading us to overestimate the likelihood of such events. This is why people often believe crime rates are rising even if statistics show a decrease. The availability of dramatic stories skews our perception of reality. Sunk cost fallacy in projects. Many people stick with a failing project or business because of the time and resources they've already invested. Rather than cutting their losses, they continue pouring effort into a venture that no longer holds promise, unable to let go because of the sunk cost fallacy. These examples show how cognitive biases can lead to skewed perceptions, emotional reactions, and sometimes irrational decisions. Recognizing these biases is essential to seeing situations more clearly and responding more effectively. Strategies to overcome bias. Techniques for recognizing and minimizing biases. While we can't completely eliminate biases, we can learn to recognize and reduce their influence. Here are some strategies to help us overcome common biases. 1. Practice self-questioning. Cultivate a habit of questioning your own thinking. Ask yourself, am I favoring information that aligns with my beliefs? Or am I making assumptions based on initial impressions? This practice encourages self-awareness and helps break the automatic influence of biases. 2. Seek diverse perspectives. Surround yourself with people who hold different views, read a wide range of materials, and listen to diverse sources of information. Exposure to different perspectives helps counteract confirmation bias, as it challenges you to consider alternative viewpoints. 3. Delay initial judgments. Give yourself time before making a decision, especially if you sense you're anchoring to initial information. A brief pause allows you to gather additional facts, reducing the influence of first impressions. 4. Use a devil's advocate approach. Deliberately consider opposing arguments and seek out information that challenges your viewpoint. This approach not only broadens your understanding, but also highlights the limitations of your own perspective. 5. Reflect on past decisions. Hindsight bias can be avoided by keeping a record of your predictions, decisions, and the reasons behind them. Reviewing your notes allows you to see where your thinking was accurate and where it could improve. 6. Identify and reframe sunk costs. Acknowledge when you're holding on to something primarily because of past investments. Ask yourself, if I were starting fresh today, would I make the same choice? This perspective shift helps you make decisions based on current value rather than past costs. By implementing these strategies, we can reduce the impact of biases on our thinking. The goal isn't to eliminate them, since biases are part of how our brains work, but to develop the awareness and tools to counteract them, enabling us to think more objectively. Exercise, a guided reflection to identify personal biases. To become more aware of your own biases, take some time for this reflection exercise. Find a quiet place and consider each of the following questions, noting your responses in a journal or a notebook. 1. Reflect on a recent decision. Think of a recent decision you made, large or small. What was the first piece of information you considered? Were you influenced by an initial impression or anchor? 2. Identify confirmation bias. Recall a topic or belief you feel strongly about. Do you tend to seek out information that supports this belief while ignoring opposing viewpoints? How might you open yourself to other perspectives on this topic? 3. Consider availability heuristic. Think of an event or issue you worry about frequently. Are your concerns based on actual likelihood or on memorable examples that come easily to mind? 4. Recognize sunk cost fallacy. Is there a commitment, project, relationship, hobby you're maintaining mostly because of past investments? Imagine letting go. How would that feel? Is there a possibility you're holding on to it out of attachment rather than current value? 5. Challenge hindsight bias. Reflect on a recent outcome you predicted would happen. Did you truly foresee it, or is hindsight making it seem inevitable? What did you learn from the outcome? This guided reflection helps bring your biases to the surface, fostering awareness and encouraging deeper self-reflection. As you grow more mindful of your mental traps, you'll find yourself better equipped to question, adjust, and think critically. In this chapter, we've explored the hidden forces that shape our thinking, from confirmation bias to the sunk cost fallacy. By recognizing and challenging these mental traps, we reclaim our ability to perceive the world more clearly and make decisions with greater confidence. As we continue, this awareness of biases will serve as a foundation, helping us think more objectively, compassionately, and wisely in all areas of life. Chapter 4. Enhancing Analytical Skills. Critical thinking relies on the ability to analyze information thoroughly and accurately. In our world of instant access to facts, opinions, and claims, analytical skills serve as a toolkit to sift through the sea of information, helping us find what's relevant, reliable, and meaningful. Analytical skills empower us to break down complex ideas, assess sources, and avoid logical missteps that can obscure our understanding. Think of analysis as a magnifying glass, one that brings clarity and detail to even the smallest parts of a larger picture. When we learn to analyze information, we gain the power to see connections, recognize patterns, and draw insights that might otherwise go unnoticed. In this chapter, we'll walk through the essential steps of effective analysis, examine ways to evaluate sources critically, and learn to identify common logical fallacies that can cloud our reasoning. By honing these skills, we lay the foundation for becoming more precise, thoughtful, and objective thinkers. Breaking down information. Steps for effective analysis and information processing. When presented with a wealth of information, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. Effective analysis requires us to break down complex information into manageable parts, allowing us to see each element clearly. Here's a step-by-step guide to analyzing information effectively. 1. Identify the main idea. Start by identifying the central point or claim of the information. What is the author or source trying to convey? Summarize this in a single sentence to keep your focus clear. 2. Separate key points from supporting details. Distinguish between the core ideas and the supporting details. For example, in a research article, the main finding might be a significant outcome, while supporting details include data points and background information. 3. Look for patterns and themes. Once you've identified the main ideas, consider patterns or recurring themes. This step allows you to see connections and understand the broader context of the information. 4. Ask clarifying questions. If something is unclear, ask questions to deepen your understanding. Why is this point relevant? Or what assumptions are being made here? Are questions that encourage deeper exploration. 5. Summarize and reflect. Once you've broken down the information, summarize it in your own words. Reflect on the implications of each part and how they come together to form a complete picture. This reflection helps internalize your understanding and makes it easier to recall later. By breaking down information this way, we avoid rushing to conclusions and instead take the time to process each part, leading to a more comprehensive understanding. Evaluating sources and evidence. Assessing reliability, validity, and credibility. In a world where information is abundant but not always accurate, evaluating sources critically is vital. It's easy to be swayed by a convincing argument, but without a solid foundation of credible sources, even the most persuasive ideas may be flawed. Here are some key considerations for evaluating sources and evidence. 1. Reliability. Is the source consistent and trustworthy? Reliable sources usually maintain high standards for accuracy and transparency, such as reputable news organizations, academic journals, and government publications. 2. Validity. Does the information logically support the claim being made? For instance, if a study claims to have found a link between a diet and health benefits, check whether the evidence presented aligns with this conclusion. If there are gaps or leaps in logic, the source's validity is questionable. 3. Credibility. Consider the authority of the source. Is the author an expert in the field? Do they have relevant qualifications? Or is the source from an organization known for expertise in the topic? Credibility is about trusting the expertise and intent of the source. 4. Bias. Every source has some degree of bias, but the key is recognizing it. Identify the perspective or potential agenda of the source. Does it present information fairly, or is it skewed toward a specific viewpoint? 5. Evidence quality. Examine the quality of the evidence provided. Are the claims supported by data, reputable studies, or expert testimony? Avoid relying on anecdotal evidence or unverified claims that lack a basis in research. To assess sources effectively, ask questions about their reliability, validity, and credibility. By focusing on evidence-based, credible sources, you can make more informed and balanced conclusions. Spotting logical fallacies, recognizing and avoiding common reasoning errors. Logical fallacies are errors in reasoning that can mislead our conclusions and cloud our judgment. They're often subtle and may even appear logical on the surface, but they lack the solid foundation needed for sound argumentation. Here are some common fallacies to watch for. 1. Ad hominem, attacking the person making the argument rather than the argument itself. For example, dismissing someone's viewpoint because of their background rather than addressing their ideas. 2. Straw man, misrepresenting an argument to make it easier to attack. Imagine someone argues for environmental conservation and their opponent responds, "You want to eliminate all industries." This distortion oversimplifies the original argument. 3. Appeal to emotion, using emotion to persuade rather than logic. For instance, an argument that relies solely on making someone feel fear or guilt without evidence can be manipulative rather than convincing. 4. False dichotomy, presenting a situation as having only two choices when more options exist. For example, saying, "You're either with us or against us," ignores the complexity of many situations. 5. Circular reasoning, using a claim as its own evidence. This occurs when an argument goes in circles, restating the conclusion as support rather than providing new information. 6. Hasty generalization, making a broad conclusion based on limited evidence. For example, assuming all politicians are corrupt because a few have been proven so is an overgeneralization. 7. Slippery slope, arguing that one action will lead to a series of negative outcomes without evidence. For example, claiming that if we allow one new policy, it will inevitably lead to an extreme result. Recognizing these fallacies helps us avoid flawed reasoning in our own thinking and identify weak arguments presented by others. By spotting these errors, we strengthen our ability to make logical, well-founded conclusions. Exercise: a case study analysis to practice critical evaluation of information. In this exercise, you'll apply analytical skills by evaluating a hypothetical case study. Read the following scenario carefully, then use the questions provided to analyze the information critically. Case study scenario. Imagine a news article claims that a new health supplement can increase energy levels by 80% based on a recent study. The article includes testimonials from a few individuals who experienced positive results and mentions that the study was conducted by the supplement's manufacturer. Questions for analysis. 1. Source evaluation. Who conducted the study and what potential biases might exist? Does the manufacturer's involvement in the study affect its credibility? 2. Evidence quality. What type of evidence supports the claim? Are there reliable studies or external experts confirming the results? Or is it primarily based on testimonials? 3. Logical fallacies. Do you notice any logical fallacies? For example, are there emotional appeals or unverified claims presented as facts? 4. Alternative explanations. Could there be other reasons for the individual's increased energy levels, such as placebo effects, lifestyle changes, or temporary fluctuations? 5. Summary reflection. Summarize your evaluation. Do you find the claim credible, or would you need further information to form a conclusion? This case study is a practice in applying critical thinking to evaluate real-world information. By breaking down the scenario, evaluating sources, spotting potential biases, and considering alternative explanations, you develop a more nuanced understanding and enhance your analytical skills. In this chapter, we've explored the essential skills of analysis, from breaking down complex information to evaluating sources critically and recognizing logical fallacies. These skills form the backbone of sound reasoning, helping us approach information with clarity, accuracy, and a balanced perspective. As you continue your journey in critical thinking, these analytical tools will be indispensable, allowing you to navigate information with confidence and discernment. Chapter 5. The Art of Questioning Assumptions. Assumptions are the silent drivers of our thoughts and actions. Often formed without conscious awareness, they shape the way we see the world, influencing our decisions and interactions. While assumptions can streamline our thinking, they can also lead us astray by presenting an incomplete or biased view of reality. Learning to question assumptions allows us to uncover underlying truths, clarify our understanding, and make more informed choices. Imagine standing on a stage with a set of painted backdrops depicting a landscape. At first glance, you might believe the scenery is real, but upon closer inspection, you'd find it's merely a flat illusion. In much the same way, assumptions can create a false sense of depth or certainty that only fades when we start to question and probe deeper. In this chapter, we'll explore the art of questioning assumptions, from cultivating a habit of asking why to using root cause analysis techniques. Through constructive skepticism and a guided exercise, you'll learn to identify and challenge assumptions in your everyday life. The habit of asking why. Developing a habit of digging deeper. At the heart of questioning assumptions lies a simple, powerful question. Why? Asking why invites us to look beyond the surface, exploring the reasoning behind ideas, beliefs, and actions. Cultivating a habit of asking why helps us avoid accepting things at face value and encourages a deeper level of understanding. Consider a situation where a company's sales decline sharply. Without questioning, the assumption might be that it's due to economic conditions, and the response might be to cut marketing expenses. But asking why opens the door to a deeper investigation. Perhaps the issue lies in customer satisfaction, product quality, or new competition, all hidden layers that wouldn't be apparent without the habit of inquiry. To develop this habit, practice asking why at least 5 times in response to any statement or observation. For example, if you notice a colleague seems unmotivated at work, ask 1. Why do they seem unmotivated? 2. Why might they be feeling disengaged? 3. Why has their workload or team dynamic changed? 4. Why might the current environment be affecting their motivation? 5. Why is addressing this important for the team's overall success? Each layer of questioning brings you closer to understanding the root causes, peeling back assumptions to reveal new insights. Root cause analysis. Techniques like the 5 whys for uncovering underlying issues. Root cause analysis, RCA, is a structured approach for identifying the underlying causes of a problem rather than treating its symptoms. One popular RCA technique is the 5 whys, a method that encourages us to dig deeper by asking why repeatedly, usually 5 times, to uncover the root cause. For example, let's say a manufacturing company experiences a high number of defective products. 1. Why are there defects in the products? Because the machines aren't calibrated correctly. 2. Why aren't the machines calibrated? Because there isn't a regular maintenance schedule. 3. Why isn't there a regular maintenance schedule? Because maintenance is only scheduled when problems arise. 4. Why is maintenance reactive instead of proactive? Because the team lacks resources and prioritizes urgent repairs over prevention. 5. Why are resources lacking for proactive maintenance? Because the budget allocation doesn't account for preventative maintenance. Through this process, the company realizes the problem's root isn't just faulty machines, but inadequate budgeting for preventative care. A crucial insight that wouldn't have been revealed by a surface-level investigation. The 5 whys technique can be applied in personal scenarios too, such as understanding motivation, relationship dynamics, or decision-making patterns. It's an effective tool for addressing assumptions and digging into the core issues that influence outcomes. Constructive skepticism. How to question without undermining confidence. One of the biggest challenges in questioning assumptions is maintaining a balance between healthy skepticism and excessive doubt. Constructive skepticism is the practice of questioning in a way that seeks understanding rather than negating ideas outright. It encourages us to explore possibilities without eroding confidence or falling into a cycle of endless doubt. Constructive skepticism starts with asking open-ended questions instead of leading or judgmental ones. For example, if someone shares a new idea, instead of saying, "That won't work," because you might ask, "What are some challenges you foresee with this approach?" This approach shows openness while encouraging a critical evaluation of potential issues. Another aspect of constructive skepticism is the willingness to adjust your perspective. A constructive skeptic doesn't rigidly hold to preconceived notions, but is willing to shift views as new information emerges. It's a mindset that values both insight and flexibility, allowing for adaptation based on evidence. To practice constructive skepticism, approach new information with curiosity rather than immediate judgment. Ask questions that clarify rather than challenge, such as, "What led you to that conclusion?" Or, "How did you arrive at that idea?" Be open to adjusting your stance, even if it means changing a previously held belief. Constructive skepticism allows you to question assumptions thoughtfully, fostering a mindset that is both critical and adaptable without eroding confidence or creating resistance. Exercise, a guided practice in identifying and challenging assumptions in everyday scenarios. In this exercise, you'll practice identifying assumptions in common situations and challenging them with curiosity and constructive skepticism. Take a few minutes to work through each scenario, noting your initial assumptions and how you would question them. Scenario 1. A friend cancels plans. You made plans with a friend, but they canceled at the last minute. Your initial assumption might be that they're not interested in spending time with you. Identify the assumption. They don't value my time. Ask why. Why might they have canceled? They may have had a personal emergency, work obligation, or health issue. Challenge with curiosity. Could there be other factors influencing their decision? How can I find out without assuming the worst? Constructive skepticism response. Reach out to understand their reason, offering support rather than judgment. Scenario 2. A team member misses a deadline. A team member doesn't complete a task on time. Your initial assumption might be that they are lazy or uncommitted. Identify the assumption. They don't care about their work. Ask why. Why did they miss the deadline? They may have faced unexpected challenges, or the task may have been more complex than anticipated. Challenge with curiosity. What additional factors might have impacted their progress? Constructive skepticism response. Schedule a conversation to understand the context, offering assistance if needed to prevent future delays. Scenario 3. A job interview doesn't go well. After an interview, you assume you weren't selected because the interviewer didn't like you. Identify the assumption. They didn't like me, so I didn't get the job. Ask why. Why might I feel this way? This assumption might stem from self-doubt or a previous experience. Challenge with curiosity. Could there be other reasons for the outcome, such as candidate fit or company needs? Constructive skepticism response. Reflect on the interview objectively, focusing on what you did well and areas for improvement. By practicing this exercise, you learn to recognize and challenge assumptions before they shape your perspective and response. This habit strengthens your critical thinking, allowing you to approach situations with openness and objectivity. In this chapter, we've explored the art of questioning assumptions through the habit of asking why, root cause analysis, and constructive skepticism. Each of these techniques empowers us to see beyond surface-level interpretations and engage with the deeper layers of our experiences. As you continue your journey, remember that challenging assumptions isn't about undermining beliefs, but about expanding your understanding and embracing new possibilities. By questioning what you take for granted, you create space for growth, clarity, and a richer, more insightful view of the world. Chapter 6. Strengthening problem-solving skills. Problem-solving is an essential skill that allows us to navigate challenges effectively, whether in our personal lives, workplaces, or social interactions. However, solving problems well requires more than just identifying issues. It demands calm objectivity, creative thinking, and structured decision-making. In this chapter, we'll explore techniques for approaching problems logically under pressure, methods to balance creativity and structure, and practical frameworks for breaking down decisions. By strengthening these skills, we empower ourselves to face challenges confidently and create solutions that are both innovative and actionable. Think of problem-solving as building a bridge over a river. If we focus too much on getting to the other side quickly, we might overlook the design and materials needed to make the bridge strong and stable. True problem-solving requires a balance of urgency and thoughtfulness, combining logic with creativity to craft solutions that stand the test of time. Approaching problems objectively, staying calm and logical under pressure. When faced with a problem, especially one that triggers stress or urgency, our initial response is often emotional. However, staying calm and logical under pressure is essential for clear thinking. Approaching problems objectively involves stepping back from the emotional response and viewing the situation from a balanced perspective. Imagine a captain steering a ship through a storm. If they panic, their judgment becomes clouded, making the situation even more dangerous. But by remaining calm and assessing the conditions objectively, they can steer the ship with a clear mind, improving their chances of safely navigating the storm. Similarly, when we approach problems with a calm mindset, we are better able to assess information, weigh options, and make decisions grounded in logic rather than reactive emotions. To approach problems objectively, try the following. 1. Pause and breathe. Take a few deep breaths to calm the initial rush of emotion. 2. Distance yourself temporarily. Imagine the problem is happening to someone else. What advice would you give them? 3. Focus on facts. List the objective facts of the situation without any assumptions or judgments. 4. Consider the bigger picture. Look at the broader context. What else might be influencing the situation? What outcomes are most important? This approach allows us to navigate challenges with a clearer mind, paving the way for thoughtful and effective solutions. Creative problem solving. Balancing logic with creativity for effective solutions. While logic is a crucial element of problem solving, creativity often opens doors to unexpected, effective solutions. Creative problem solving allows us to break free from conventional thinking, exploring new approaches that logic alone might not uncover. The goal is to balance analytical reasoning with imaginative thinking, enabling us to create solutions that are innovative and practical. Consider the story of a company facing declining sales for one of its products. Instead of merely reducing prices or increasing advertising, the team brainstorms creative ways to add value. They repurpose the product's packaging to be reusable, attracting eco-conscious customers and boosting sales in a way that enhances the brand's reputation. This solution required both logic, understanding market trends, and creativity, finding an inventive way to meet customer needs. To cultivate creative problem solving. 1. Brainstorm freely. Start by listing any and all possible solutions, no matter how unconventional. Let creativity flow without restriction. 2. Challenge assumptions. Ask, what if we did the opposite? Or, is there another way to think about this? 3. Look for analogies. Think about how similar problems are solved in other fields. Sometimes solutions in one area can inspire ideas in another. 4. Combine ideas. If you have multiple ideas, explore whether combining them might create a stronger solution. This balance between logic and creativity strengthens our problem-solving abilities, helping us create solutions that are both innovative and grounded. Frameworks for decision-making. Using tools like SWOT analysis, pros and cons lists, and mind mapping. Structured frameworks can guide us through complex decisions, providing clarity and organization to the problem-solving process. Here are some practical tools for breaking down problems and making informed decisions. 1. SWOT analysis. This framework helps you evaluate the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of a situation or decision. For instance, if you're considering a new job opportunity, you could analyze your strengths, skills and experiences, weaknesses, areas needing improvement, opportunities, growth potential, and threats, potential challenges or downsides. 2. Pros and cons list. A simple yet effective tool for comparing options. List the benefits and drawbacks of each choice, then weigh them against each other. This helps clarify the potential outcomes and allows for a more balanced view. 3. Mind mapping. Mind mapping is a visual technique that organizes ideas around a central concept. By mapping out related thoughts, issues, and possible solutions, you can see the problem and its elements more clearly, helping you generate ideas and visualize connections. 4. The decision matrix. If you're weighing several options based on multiple factors, a decision matrix can help. Assign weights to each factor based on importance, then score each option. The total score helps highlight the best option based on your criteria. These frameworks are versatile tools that bring structure to decision-making. By applying them to various situations, we can approach even the most complex problems systematically and with greater confidence. Exercise. A problem-solving scenario to apply critical thinking skills. To put these problem-solving skills into practice, try this scenario. Imagine yourself as the decision-maker in a situation and work through it using the tools and techniques discussed in this chapter. Scenario: a team project falling behind schedule. You are managing a team project with a deadline in 2 weeks, but the team is behind schedule. Each member has a unique set of skills, but they're struggling to work together effectively. You need to figure out how to get the project back on track without sacrificing quality. Steps to analyze and solve the problem. 1. Pause and assess the situation. Stay calm and gather the facts. Note any objective information, such as team member roles, current progress, and project requirements. 2. SWOT analysis. Identify the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats related to your team's situation. Strengths. Each team member has a unique skill set. Weaknesses. Lack of coordination and communication. Opportunities. Team-building activities to improve collaboration. Threats. Risk of missing the deadline if progress isn't improved. 3. Brainstorm solutions. Encourage creative problem-solving by listing possible solutions. For example, reassign tasks based on individual strengths. Hold a team meeting to discuss challenges and brainstorm solutions collectively. Implement a daily check-in to monitor progress and address issues promptly. 4. Pros and cons list. Create a pros and cons list for each solution to weigh the potential outcomes. For instance, daily check-ins. Pros, keeps team aligned, allows for immediate feedback. Cons, might feel micromanaging if not done thoughtfully. 5. Mind mapping. Map out the steps needed to implement the chosen solutions. This could include setting goals for each team member, defining roles, and establishing a clear communication channel. 6. Final decision. Based on the analysis, decide on the best course of action. For instance, you might decide to hold a collaborative team meeting to address challenges and set up a structured check-in process to improve coordination. This exercise helps reinforce the problem-solving skills covered in this chapter, from approaching issues calmly to balancing creativity with structured frameworks. By practicing these steps, you can build a stronger foundation for tackling real-life challenges. In this chapter, we've explored strategies to strengthen problem-solving skills by balancing objectivity, creativity, and structure. With a calm mind, a creative approach, and structured frameworks, we can navigate complex challenges with clarity and confidence. As you continue building your critical thinking skills, these problem-solving tools will become invaluable allies, enabling you to tackle obstacles with resilience, resourcefulness, and precision. Chapter 7. Making better decisions. Every day, we make countless decisions, some small and routine, others larger and potentially life-altering. Good decision-making is a skill that combines insight, objectivity, and strategy. It's not about perfection, but about developing a thoughtful process that enables us to choose wisely and minimize regret. In this chapter, we'll examine various decision-making styles, consider the impact of poor decisions, and learn ways to stay mentally fresh to avoid decision fatigue. We'll also engage in an exercise that helps us practice weighing outcomes and alternatives, bringing clarity to our choices. Imagine you're standing at a crossroads, each path stretching into the distance with unseen twists and turns. Choosing the right path requires a combination of intuition, analysis, and confidence. By understanding and applying the principles of sound decision-making, we gain the tools to navigate these crossroads with greater clarity and purpose. Identifying decision-making styles, rational, intuitive, and hybrid approaches. There are different approaches to making decisions, each with its strengths and limitations. Understanding your decision-making style helps you recognize when you might need to rely more on logic or intuition, or strike a balance between the two. 1. Rational decision-making. The rational approach is systematic and logical, focusing on gathering facts, weighing options, and making choices based on evidence. It's a methodical process that minimizes emotional influence, aiming for objective conclusions. Rational decision-making is ideal for situations that require analysis, such as financial planning or project management. However, it can be time-consuming and may not work well in situations where quick decisions are needed. 2. Intuitive decision-making. Intuition is the feeling or gut sense that guides us without needing detailed analysis. Intuitive decision-making draws on our subconscious knowledge and past experiences, often leading to quick decisions in complex or ambiguous situations. This approach is useful when there is limited information or time, or when you have expertise in a specific area. However, it can sometimes lead to errors if emotions or biases influence our intuition. 3. Hybrid decision-making. A hybrid approach combines rational analysis with intuition, balancing logic and instinct. This style allows for a flexible approach, where you begin by gathering essential information and then rely on intuition to make a final decision. Hybrid decision-making is ideal when facing choices with both measurable data and unpredictable elements. It offers the best of both worlds, but requires practice to maintain the right balance. By recognizing your decision-making style, you can adapt your approach to fit the demands of the situation. Sometimes, relying too much on analysis leads to indecision, while following intuition alone may result in impulsive choices. A balanced, hybrid style can help achieve a more adaptable decision-making process. The cost of poor decisions, real-life examples and lessons learned. Poor decisions can have significant consequences, both personally and professionally. Examining real-life examples of poor decision-making reveals valuable lessons and highlights the importance of a thoughtful process. 1. Case study: Kodak's missed opportunity. Kodak, once a leader in photography, famously chose to ignore the rise of digital cameras in favor of traditional film. Although Kodak had access to digital technology early on, company leaders decided not to pursue it, assuming film would remain dominant. This decision ultimately led to Kodak's downfall as digital cameras became the industry standard. Lesson: a failure to adapt and innovate can lead to missed opportunities and eventual decline. 2. Case study: the Challenger space shuttle disaster. In 1986, NASA's Challenger shuttle tragically exploded shortly after launch, largely due to a decision to proceed despite concerns about faulty O-rings in cold weather. Engineers expressed hesitation, but managerial pressure to meet deadlines led to a rushed decision. Lesson: ignoring expert advice and succumbing to external pressures can lead to severe consequences, underscoring the importance of careful evaluation and risk management. 3. Personal example: financial choices. Consider an individual who buys an expensive item on impulse, such as a luxury car, without considering the long-term financial impact. This choice might lead to debt, increased stress, and a loss of financial flexibility. Lesson: impulsive decisions often prioritize immediate gratification over long-term benefits, emphasizing the need for thoughtful consideration before making high-stakes choices. Each of these examples illustrates the cost of poor decision-making and the lessons learned from hindsight. By reflecting on these cases, we are reminded of the importance of balanced, careful choices that align with our goals and values. Avoiding decision fatigue. Tips for staying mentally fresh and avoiding impulsive choices. Decision fatigue occurs when we're mentally exhausted from making too many choices, leading to poor quality decisions or avoidance of decision-making altogether. In today's fast-paced world, decision fatigue can easily set in, especially when we're constantly faced with options, from trivial to significant. Fortunately, there are ways to minimize its effects. 1. Prioritize high-impact decisions in the morning. Mental clarity is often highest in the morning. Reserve critical or high-stakes decisions for early in the day, when you're freshest and most focused. 2. Automate routine choices. Simplify daily routines by establishing habits. For instance, create a morning routine or a weekly meal plan to reduce the number of daily decisions. By automating minor choices, you conserve mental energy for more important ones. 3. Set boundaries and limit distractions. Decision fatigue is often worsened by constant distractions, like phone notifications or multitasking. Minimize interruptions when making important decisions, allowing yourself the time and space to think clearly. 4. Take breaks between decisions. Give your brain time to recharge between decisions, especially when facing a series of choices. Even a brief walk, stretching, or a few minutes of deep breathing can restore mental energy and focus. 5. Practice mindful decision-making. When making decisions, focus on one at a time rather than juggling multiple choices. Mindfulness allows you to approach each decision thoughtfully, reducing the risk of impulsivity. By implementing these practices, you can maintain mental clarity, reduce impulsive choices, and make better decisions throughout the day. Exercise. A decision-making exercise focused on weighing outcomes and alternatives. To strengthen your decision-making skills, try the following exercise. Imagine a scenario, evaluate possible options, and weigh the outcomes before making a choice. This exercise helps practice a balanced approach to decision-making. Scenario: career advancement opportunity. You are offered a promotion at work that includes a significant salary increase and new responsibilities. However, the role requires longer hours and will likely increase your stress levels. You're unsure if the benefits outweigh the sacrifices, and you want to consider your decision carefully. Steps to work through the decision. 1. Define your decision-making style. Decide whether you'll approach this decision rationally, intuitively, or with a hybrid method. For example, you might start with a rational pros and cons list, and then follow your intuition on how you feel about the potential outcomes. 2. List the pros and cons. Pros: higher salary, potential for career growth, new learning opportunities, increased recognition. Cons: longer work hours, potential for stress, less time for family or personal interests, risk of burnout. 3. Consider long-term implications. Reflect on how this choice aligns with your long-term goals and values. Ask questions such as, will this position help me grow in my career? And how important is work-life balance to me? 4. Evaluate the alternatives. Identify other options, such as negotiating for a different role, asking for flexibility in work hours, or even considering opportunities outside your current company. This expands your view of what's possible beyond an either-or choice. 5. Imagine possible outcomes. Picture yourself in each scenario, taking the promotion, declining it, or negotiating for flexibility. Consider how each option feels, how it impacts your life, and what challenges or rewards it may bring. 6. Make a decision and reflect. After weighing all factors, make your choice and take a moment to reflect on the process. Ask yourself if you feel aligned with the decision and how confident you are in your choice. This exercise not only helps you make a thoughtful decision, but also reinforces your ability to approach future choices with clarity and balance. In this chapter, we've explored how to make better decisions by understanding decision-making styles, learning from past choices, avoiding decision fatigue, and practicing structured exercises. Decision-making is a skill that evolves over time, and with practice, you'll gain greater confidence, insight, and clarity. As you continue to develop this skill, remember that each decision is an opportunity to learn and grow, guiding you on the path to a thoughtful and intentional life. Chapter 8. Communicating with clarity and precision. Communication is an essential component of critical thinking. No matter how insightful our ideas may be, they can only make an impact if conveyed with clarity and precision. Effective communication requires thoughtful language, openness to feedback, and the ability to navigate challenging conversations without escalating misunderstandings. In this chapter, we'll explore how to use the language of critical thinking, give and receive feedback constructively, and apply critical thinking principles to resolve conflicts. With these skills, we can create stronger connections, promote understanding, and foster collaborative environments. Imagine standing in front of a large, complex painting and trying to explain its meaning to someone else. If you focus on minor details or use vague descriptions, the listener may struggle to grasp the essence of what you see. But by choosing clear, focused language, you can help them see the painting through your eyes, appreciating its depth and intricacies. This is the power of clear communication in critical thinking. The language of critical thinking, using precise language to convey ideas effectively. The language we use shapes the way we convey ideas, influences understanding, and affects the quality of our discussions. Using precise language helps us express our thoughts clearly, avoiding misinterpretation and encouraging productive dialogue. To communicate with precision, consider these principles. 1. Choose words carefully. Avoid vague language and strive for specificity. For example, instead of saying, "we should try to improve," say, "we need to increase sales by 10% in the next quarter." Specific language clarifies intentions and directs focus. 2. Be clear and concise. Avoid overloading sentences with unnecessary details or complex terminology. Simple language often conveys ideas more powerfully and ensures that key points are easy to understand. 3. Use objective language. Describe things as they are, without adding personal bias. For instance, instead of saying, "this idea is terrible," try, "this idea might have challenges in implementation." Objective language keeps the conversation neutral, promoting open-mindedness. 4. Ask clarifying questions. If you're unsure about someone's point, ask questions that encourage them to elaborate, such as, "Could you explain what you mean by that?" Or, "Can you give an example?" Clarifying questions show engagement and help prevent misunderstandings. By using precise, objective language, we create space for understanding and ensure our ideas are conveyed as accurately as possible. This skill is crucial for critical thinkers, as it allows us to communicate with purpose and clarity. Constructive feedback. giving and receiving feedback to promote thoughtful discussion. Feedback, when offered and received constructively, is an invaluable tool for growth and improvement. However, giving feedback effectively requires sensitivity, and receiving it with openness demands self-awareness. Constructive feedback focuses on observations and suggestions rather than judgments, creating a safe space for dialogue. Giving constructive feedback. 1. Focus on behavior, not the person. Center your feedback on specific behaviors or actions rather than personal attributes. For example, instead of saying, "You're always careless," say, "I noticed there were a few errors in the report. Let's go over them to understand how they happened." 2. Use I statements. I statements reduce defensiveness by focusing on your perspective rather than placing blame. For instance, say, "I feel that the project could benefit from more detail in this section," rather than, "You didn't put enough effort into this." 3. Balance positive and constructive points. Start by acknowledging strengths before offering suggestions. For example, "Your presentation was engaging and well-organized." One area that might enhance it even more is adding some data visuals to support key points. 4. Be specific and offer solutions. General feedback lacks direction. Be specific about what could improve, and if possible, provide a practical suggestion. For instance, using shorter sentences might make the writing clearer rather than simply, "Your writing is confusing." Receiving constructive feedback. 1. Listen without interrupting. Allow the person to finish speaking before responding. Listening openly helps you absorb the feedback without immediately reacting defensively. 2. Ask for clarification if needed. If any feedback is unclear, ask questions to better understand the specifics. This shows you value the feedback and are willing to improve. 3. Focus on the value of improvement. Remember that constructive feedback is intended to help you grow. Approach it with a growth mindset, recognizing that each suggestion is an opportunity for self-improvement. 4. Express appreciation. Acknowledge the feedback, even if you find it difficult to accept. A simple, "Thank you for sharing this," shows respect for the other person's perspective and fosters positive dialogue. Constructive feedback, when given and received thoughtfully, strengthens relationships, enhances understanding, and paves the way for mutual growth. This approach not only improves communication, but also builds trust and collaboration within teams and relationships. Managing difficult conversations. Applying critical thinking to resolve conflicts and misunderstandings. Difficult conversations, whether they involve disagreements, misunderstandings, or sensitive topics, are a part of life. Critical thinking can be a valuable ally in these situations, helping us approach conflicts with a calm and objective mindset. By focusing on clear communication and mutual understanding, we can turn challenging conversations into opportunities for resolution and growth. Here are some techniques for managing difficult conversations effectively. 1. Prepare with objectivity. Before entering a difficult conversation, take a moment to reflect on your own perspective and the assumptions you may be bringing. Ask yourself, what's the core issue here? And what outcome am I hoping to achieve? 2. Practice active listening. Active listening means giving the other person your full attention, avoiding interruptions, and reflecting on what they're saying. Use phrases like, "I hear you saying," to show that you're engaged and genuinely trying to understand their perspective. 3. Acknowledge emotions. In difficult conversations, emotions often run high. Acknowledging feelings, whether your own or the other person's, can diffuse tension. For example, "I understand that this situation is frustrating," demonstrates empathy and helps create a safe space. 4. Ask open-ended questions. Open-ended questions encourage dialogue and exploration. Instead of saying, "You don't understand my point," ask, "How do you see this issue?" Or "What's important to you in this situation?" These questions open the door to mutual understanding. 5. Find common ground. Focus on areas of agreement to create a collaborative atmosphere. Identify shared values or goals and emphasize them as a foundation for resolving the conflict. For example, "We both want what's best for the team," or "I think we agree that this project is important." 6. Stay solution-oriented. Guide the conversation toward constructive outcomes by focusing on solutions rather than problems. For example, if discussing a misunderstanding, say, "How can we prevent this from happening in the future?" rather than rehashing past issues. By applying these principles, difficult conversations become opportunities for growth, understanding, and deeper connection. Conflict resolution requires patience, but it also rewards us with stronger relationships and improved communication skills. Exercise. Practicing constructive feedback and managing difficult conversations. To put these skills into practice, try the following exercise. Scenario: addressing a missed deadline. Imagine a colleague missed an important project deadline, which has impacted your own workload. You need to address this issue constructively without causing unnecessary tension. 1. Prepare your feedback. Take a moment to prepare what you'd like to say. Focus on specific behaviors rather than personal judgments. Write down how you would phrase your feedback. Example: I noticed that the project was delayed, and it's affected my timeline for completing my part. Could we discuss what happened and see if there's a way to prevent this in the future? 2. Use I statements and be specific. Reframe any potentially negative language into constructive language that focuses on your perspective. Avoid words like always or never, which can make feedback sound judgmental. Example: I feel that our collaboration could benefit if we check in more frequently during the project. That way, we can address any potential delays sooner. 3. Listen actively during the response. In a real conversation, allow your colleague to respond without interruption. Practice how you would listen and ask clarifying questions if needed. Consider how you might express empathy for their challenges while maintaining the need for accountability. 4. End on a collaborative note. Conclude by proposing a solution or plan for improvement. This approach helps prevent future issues and reinforces a positive working relationship. Example: maybe we can set up a brief weekly check-in to stay aligned. I think it could help us both meet our deadlines more consistently. This exercise helps reinforce constructive communication techniques, allowing you to practice clarity, empathy, and collaboration in a challenging scenario. In this chapter, we've explored how to communicate with clarity and precision, focusing on the language of critical thinking, constructive feedback, and managing difficult conversations. These skills form the backbone of effective communication, empowering us to engage in meaningful discussions, resolve conflicts, and build understanding. By using clear language, offering and receiving feedback with an open mind, and navigating difficult conversations with empathy, we enhance our ability to think critically and connect genuinely with others. Chapter 9. Cultivating Self-Awareness and Reflective Thinking. Self-awareness and reflective thinking are the foundations of personal growth and critical thinking. Understanding our own thought patterns, emotions, and behaviors enables us to make intentional decisions, respond thoughtfully, and foster empathy in our interactions. By becoming aware of our inner workings, we gain greater control over our responses and choices. In this chapter, we'll explore the importance of recognizing habitual thought patterns, the transformative power of self-reflection, and the role of emotional intelligence in balancing logic and empathy. Through these practices, we deepen our understanding of ourselves and enhance our ability to engage meaningfully with the world around us. Imagine a clear, still lake reflecting the surrounding landscape. This lake represents the mind when it's calm and self-aware, mirroring the truth without distortion. By cultivating self-awareness and engaging in reflective thinking, we create a clear lake within ourselves, one that allows us to see reality more accurately and respond with purpose. Understanding your thought patterns. Recognizing habitual ways of thinking. Our thought patterns are like mental pathways worn into the landscape of our minds, shaped by years of experience, habits, and beliefs. Some of these patterns serve us well, helping us make quick decisions and navigate daily life, while others may limit our perspectives, leading us to react out of habit rather than intent. Recognizing our habitual ways of thinking is the first step in cultivating self-awareness. Consider the common patterns we may fall into. Automatic negative thoughts. These are quick, reflexive thoughts that tend to skew negative, such as "I always mess things up" or "nothing ever goes right for me." They can lead to self-doubt and limit our ability to see possibilities. Black and white thinking. This pattern involves viewing things in extremes like all or nothing thinking. For example, if I don't succeed, I'm a failure, or people are either with me or against me. Catastrophizing. This involves imagining the worst-case scenario, even when it's unlikely. For instance, if a project faces a minor delay, one might think, "This will ruin everything." Confirmation bias in thought patterns. The tendency to seek out or remember information that confirms our pre-existing beliefs, reinforcing our assumptions and closing us off to other perspectives. Recognizing these patterns is the first step in challenging them. When we notice our minds following familiar paths, we can pause, reflect, and choose more constructive thoughts, replacing automatic reactions with intentional responses. The role of reflection. How self-reflection leads to deeper understanding. Reflection is the practice of examining our thoughts, feelings, and experiences to gain insight and understanding. It allows us to look at our actions and motivations, making sense of what happened and learning from it. While self-reflection requires time and focus, its rewards are profound, leading to greater self-awareness, resilience, and growth. Consider a garden. If left unattended, weeds may overtake the plants, and growth may be stunted. Reflection is like tending to this garden, pulling out unhelpful thoughts and nurturing the insights that foster growth. By reflecting on our experiences, we cultivate a clearer, more purposeful mind, allowing us to move forward with greater clarity. To engage in effective reflection. 1. Set aside time for reflection. Regularly dedicate time to think back on your day, week, or recent experiences. This could be a few minutes each evening or a more in-depth session at the end of each week. 2. Ask open-ended questions. Encourage introspection by asking questions like, "What went well today?" or "How did I handle that challenging situation?" Open-ended questions promote a deeper level of thought. 3. Identify lessons learned. Reflecting on both positive and negative experiences helps us understand what we did well and where we can improve. Note patterns, recurring themes, or insights that emerge from your reflection. 4. Practice self-compassion. Reflection isn't about criticism, it's about growth. Approach yourself with kindness, seeing each experience as an opportunity to learn and evolve. By making self-reflection a habit, we gain clarity on our motivations, develop resilience in the face of challenges, and make conscious choices that align with our values. Developing emotional intelligence. Balancing logic with empathy and self-awareness. Emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize, understand, and manage our own emotions while empathizing with others. It's an essential skill for balancing logic with empathy, allowing us to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Emotional intelligence enhances our relationships, decision-making, and self-awareness, helping us lead a more balanced, connected life. The 4 key components of emotional intelligence are: 1. Self-awareness. Understanding our emotions, recognizing how they influence our thoughts and behaviors. Self-awareness is the foundation of emotional intelligence, allowing us to observe our feelings without being overwhelmed by them. 2. Self-regulation. The ability to manage emotions in healthy ways, staying calm and composed even under pressure. Self-regulation helps us avoid impulsive reactions, enabling us to think clearly and respond thoughtfully. 3. Empathy. Recognizing and understanding the emotions of others. Empathy allows us to see situations from others' perspectives, fostering compassion and effective communication. 4. Social skills. Building and maintaining positive relationships through clear communication, active listening, and collaboration. Strong social skills create connections that are essential for personal and professional success. Developing emotional intelligence involves observing and reflecting on our emotions, practicing empathy in our interactions, and staying present in our responses. By balancing logic with empathy, we become more adaptable, open-minded, and resilient in the face of challenges. Exercise, a guided journaling activity to promote reflective thinking. Journaling is a powerful tool for self-reflection, helping us explore our thoughts, emotions, and experiences. This exercise guides you through a reflective journaling session, promoting insight and self-awareness. Reflective journaling prompts. 1. Recognize thought patterns. Write down a recent experience where you noticed a habitual thought pattern. Describe the situation and the thoughts that arose. Was there an automatic reaction, such as worry, frustration, or doubt? Reflect on how this pattern may have shaped your response. Did it serve you well, or might another approach have been more helpful? 2. Reflect on a recent challenge. Think of a recent challenge you faced. Describe the situation, including your emotions and actions. Ask yourself, what did I learn from this experience? And how might I approach a similar situation in the future? 3. Explore emotional responses. Choose an interaction or moment from the past week where you felt a strong emotion, positive or negative. Describe how you felt, why you think you felt that way, and how it influenced your actions. Reflect on what this emotion taught you about yourself. What does it reveal about your values or boundaries? 4. Practice self-compassion. Reflect on an area where you feel you could improve, whether in communication, decision-making, or time management. Write down any self-critical thoughts, then rewrite them with self-compassion. For example, change "I should be better at this" to "I'm working on getting better, and it's okay to make mistakes." 5. Set an intention for growth. Based on your reflections, set an intention for personal growth. This could be something like, "I will practice patience with myself," or "I'll try to approach challenges with curiosity instead of judgment." Writing this intention down reinforces it in your mind. Optional final prompt. After completing the journaling session, write a brief summary of any insights you gained or patterns you noticed. This summary can serve as a reference point for future reflection, helping you track your growth over time. In this chapter, we've explored the importance of self-awareness and reflective thinking, from recognizing habitual thought patterns to developing emotional intelligence. These practices allow us to connect more deeply with ourselves, leading to a clearer understanding of our values, motivations, and responses. By engaging in regular self-reflection and cultivating emotional intelligence, we gain the tools to live more intentionally, balance empathy with logic, and foster meaningful relationships. As we continue this journey, remember that self-awareness is not a destination, but a continuous path of growth and discovery. Chapter 10. Applying critical thinking in everyday life. Critical thinking is not only a skill, but a way of navigating life's complexities with clarity, intentionality, and insight. When applied consistently, it can transform the way we work, relate to others, and pursue personal growth. This chapter will explore how critical thinking enhances various aspects of our daily lives, from making objective decisions under pressure to keeping a growth mindset for lifelong learning. We'll also cover practical strategies for overcoming obstacles like stress and distractions, ensuring that we approach each day with a clear mind and steady focus. Finally, a set of daily practices will help integrate critical thinking into your routine, reinforcing these skills over time. Imagine critical thinking as a toolkit, equipped with resources to help us break down challenges, make informed choices, and engage with others thoughtfully. By using this toolkit daily, we improve our interactions, build resilience, and live with purpose. Practical applications. How to use critical thinking in work, relationships, and personal goals. Critical thinking extends far beyond academic exercises or professional decision-making. It's a skill that enriches all aspects of life, allowing us to act with clarity and purpose. 1. At work. In the workplace, critical thinking helps us solve problems creatively, communicate ideas clearly, and make decisions based on analysis rather than assumption. For example, when evaluating a new project proposal, a critical thinker assesses its potential impact, weighs the benefits and drawbacks, and anticipates any challenges. By focusing on logic and evidence, we can bring more confidence and precision to our roles. 2. In relationships, critical thinking fosters empathy and open-mindedness in relationships, enabling us to listen actively, understand differing perspectives, and resolve conflicts constructively. When a disagreement arises, instead of reacting impulsively, a critical thinker pauses, considers the other person's viewpoint, and responds thoughtfully. This approach not only deepens connections, but also creates a foundation of trust and respect. 3. Personal goals. In pursuing personal goals, critical thinking allows us to set clear, achievable objectives and track progress objectively. Instead of blindly pursuing a goal, we ask questions like, "Why is this goal important to me?" And "What are the most effective steps to reach it?" This analytical approach ensures that our goals align with our values and provides us with a realistic plan for success. By applying critical thinking in work, relationships, and personal pursuits, we bring intention and awareness to every aspect of our lives, ensuring that our actions reflect our deepest values and objectives. Overcoming obstacles to clear thinking. How stress, distractions, and social pressures impact thought clarity. Clear thinking is often disrupted by external and internal influences that cloud judgment and lead to impulsive or biased decisions. Understanding these obstacles and learning to manage them is essential for maintaining mental clarity. 1. Stress. When stressed, our brains prioritize short-term relief over long-term reasoning, making it difficult to process information objectively. To counteract this, practice stress relief techniques like deep breathing, mindfulness, or short breaks, especially before making important decisions. Lowering stress allows us to regain perspective and make thoughtful choices. 2. Distractions. In our digital age, constant notifications, emails, and messages pull our attention in multiple directions, disrupting focus and mental clarity. To overcome distractions, set designated times to check devices, work in distraction-free environments, and use productivity tools that encourage concentration. Reducing distractions strengthens our ability to stay present and think deeply. 3. Social pressures. Social influences can subtly steer our thinking, especially in situations where we feel pressured to conform to others' expectations or beliefs. Critical thinking helps us recognize when social pressure is at play, allowing us to step back and assess situations independently. Practicing self-awareness and questioning assumptions helps us stay true to our own beliefs, even in the face of social pressure. By managing stress, minimizing distractions, and recognizing social influences, we cultivate a mental environment that supports clear, objective thinking. These practices allow us to maintain focus and make decisions based on our own values and priorities. Becoming a lifelong learner, maintaining a growth mindset, and continually improving critical skills. Critical thinking is not a destination but a journey. By adopting a growth mindset, the belief that skills and intelligence can be developed through dedication and effort, we commit to continuous learning and self-improvement. This mindset helps us approach challenges with curiosity, resilience, and a willingness to grow. Here are ways to cultivate lifelong learning and a growth mindset. 1. Stay curious. Embrace a mindset of curiosity, asking questions that deepen your understanding. Seek out new information and perspectives, whether through books, articles, or conversations, and remain open to ideas that challenge your current beliefs. 2. Reflect on mistakes and successes. Reflecting on both successes and setbacks provides valuable insights into your growth process. Mistakes offer lessons that help refine your critical thinking, while successes reinforce strategies that work well. Approach each experience as an opportunity for improvement. 3. Seek constructive feedback. Feedback from others offers a fresh perspective and identifies areas for growth. By welcoming feedback and using it constructively, we stay open to change and refine our critical thinking skills over time. 4. Set learning goals. Create goals that encourage skill development, such as reading a certain number of books, taking a course, or learning a new skill. These goals keep you motivated and focused on personal growth. By fostering a lifelong learning mindset, we stay adaptable, curious, and open-minded, continually enhancing our critical thinking and personal development. Exercise. Daily practices and routines to incorporate critical thinking into your life. To make critical thinking a daily habit, try incorporating these practical exercises and routines. 1. Morning reflection. Each morning, take 5 minutes to set your intentions for the day. Think about any upcoming challenges and how you might approach them with a critical thinking mindset. Ask yourself, what can I learn today? And how can I respond thoughtfully to any challenges? 2. Ask why. 3 times. When faced with a decision, challenge, or new information, ask why. 3 times to deepen your understanding. For example, if you're considering a major purchase, ask, why do I want this? Why is this the best option for me? Why is this the right time for this decision? This exercise encourages you to dig deeper and avoid impulsive choices. 3. Evening journaling. Reflect on your day with a few minutes of journaling each evening. Write down any key decisions, conversations, or insights, noting what went well and areas for improvement. Consider questions like, what did I learn about myself today? Or, how did I practice critical thinking? 4. Weekly goal review. At the end of each week, review your progress toward personal and professional goals. Evaluate what worked well and what challenges arose, reflecting on any assumptions or biases that may have influenced your actions. Set intentions for the coming week based on these insights. 5. Practice empathy in conversations. During daily conversations, practice active listening and empathy, aiming to understand others' perspectives without judgment. Reflect on what you learned from each interaction and how it contributed to your understanding. 6. Read something new. Each week, try reading something outside your usual interests or comfort zone, such as an article from a different field or a book with new ideas. This expands your perspective and encourages critical thinking through exposure to diverse viewpoints. These daily practices create opportunities for reflection, growth, and application of critical thinking skills. By integrating them into your routine, you build habits that reinforce a thoughtful, objective approach to life. In this chapter, we've explored practical applications of critical thinking, strategies to overcome obstacles, the importance of a lifelong learning mindset, and daily exercises to strengthen these skills. Critical thinking, when woven into the fabric of our everyday lives, becomes a tool for making intentional, meaningful choices and for engaging with the world from a place of curiosity and understanding. As you continue this journey, remember that critical thinking is not only a skill but a way of life, one that leads to greater insight, resilience, and fulfillment. Conclusion: a journey of transformation. Mastering critical thinking is more than just acquiring a skill. It's a journey of personal transformation, one that reshapes the way we see ourselves and the world around us. As we've explored throughout this book, critical thinking empowers us to dig deeper, question assumptions, and approach challenges with clarity and purpose. The tools and techniques we've discussed serve as stepping stones, guiding us toward a mindset that values insight, intentionality, and lifelong growth. Imagine a sculptor working on a block of marble, carefully chipping away to reveal a beautiful form within. In the same way, critical thinking sculpts our mind, gradually removing biases, assumptions, and mental shortcuts to reveal a clearer, more refined perspective. This transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's an ongoing process that unfolds with each moment of reflection, curiosity, and thoughtful decision-making. The impact of a critical mindset: how mastering critical thinking transforms perspectives. Developing a critical mindset impacts every area of life, from the smallest choices to our most significant relationships. With a critical mind, we're better equipped to make decisions that align with our values, respond to situations thoughtfully, and engage with others empathetically. We begin to see that life's complexities are not obstacles, but opportunities for growth and understanding. Sharper decision-making. By questioning our own thought patterns and considering multiple perspectives, we make choices with greater clarity and confidence. We're no longer swayed by superficial influences or fleeting emotions, but instead grounded in thoughtful reasoning. Resilience in the face of challenges. Critical thinking fosters resilience, helping us adapt to setbacks and learn from failure. With this mindset, we approach obstacles as learning experiences, knowing that each challenge offers insights that strengthen our understanding. Deeper connections and empathy. As we learn to question assumptions and view situations objectively, we also deepen our empathy. We become better listeners, more patient communicators, and more open to the perspectives of others. This creates stronger, more meaningful connections in our relationships. The transformation brought about by a critical mindset is profound and lasting, creating a foundation for a life filled with clarity, purpose, and understanding. Embracing the process. Viewing critical thinking as an ongoing journey of personal growth. Critical thinking is not a destination, but a lifelong journey. It's a process of continuous self-improvement, where each day offers new opportunities to learn, reflect, and grow. There will be times when we fall back into habitual thinking or struggle with biases, but these moments are not setbacks. They are reminders of our commitment to growth. This journey is one of embracing curiosity, welcoming feedback, and remaining open to change. Each experience, whether it confirms or challenges our beliefs, adds depth to our understanding and strengthens our resolve to think critically. As we move forward, we discover that critical thinking is not only a skill for solving problems, but a way of life that enriches every moment. To truly embrace this process, we must be patient with ourselves. Transformation takes time, and growth happens gradually. Each small effort, whether it's a moment of self-reflection, a thoughtful question, or an act of empathy, contributes to the journey. Stay curious and open-minded. Curiosity keeps our minds engaged and our perspectives fresh. By remaining curious, we keep our critical thinking skills sharp, always seeking to understand more deeply. Commit to lifelong learning. Growth never stops. A critical mind sees every experience as a lesson, every interaction as an opportunity to learn, and every choice as a chance to practice intentionality. Embracing the journey of critical thinking means celebrating each step, each insight, and each moment of self-awareness. It's a commitment to living with purpose, grounded in the understanding that growth is not a single event, but an unfolding process. Final words of encouragement. Inspiring readers to live a life of questioning, reflection, and purposeful thought. As you reach the end of this book, consider it not a conclusion, but a new beginning. You now have the tools to approach life with a mindset that questions, reflects, and seeks truth. Let this be your guide, helping you navigate a world filled with complexities and opportunities for understanding. Living a life of critical thinking is about more than avoiding mistakes or making better decisions. It's about embracing a deeper, more thoughtful existence. It's about choosing to see the world with curiosity, engaging with ideas and people with empathy, and approaching each day with a sense of purpose. When we commit to this journey, we find that life itself becomes richer, more meaningful, and endlessly inspiring. Remember, every moment is an opportunity to think critically, to ask questions that open doors, and to explore ideas that challenge us. Let your journey be one of endless discovery, where each experience broadens your mind and every question deepens your understanding. So go forth with curiosity, reflect with intention, and live a life guided by thoughtful, purposeful thought. The journey of critical thinking is yours to shape. May it lead you to a life filled with clarity, growth, and fulfillment. As we reach the end of mastering the art of critical thinking, it's worth taking a moment to reflect on how far you've come. Adopting a critical mindset is a profound transformation, one that opens doors to a richer understanding of the world and ourselves. With critical thinking, you now hold a tool set to make decisions thoughtfully, ask meaningful questions, and engage with others with clarity and empathy. This journey doesn't end here. Instead, you're equipped to continue questioning, learning, and growing. Critical thinking is more than a skill. It's a lifelong pursuit, one that fuels personal growth, strengthens our relationships, and enriches our experiences. As you move forward, embrace this journey of curiosity, self-reflection, and purposeful thought. Remember, the power to see beyond the obvious and live a life of deeper understanding is within you. Thank you for listening, and here's to a lifetime of thoughtful exploration and growth.